Rengar and Gragas from Leonite Esports.
Yeah, this means what? This is actually very interesting. Leonite decided to not go Renekton Galio. Instead, it's a Quirky Galio. So that means for FENNEL, that combo Lee Sin Renekton, jungle top, duo, early is still going to be available for them. In the meantime, though, it is going to be the Janna and Kaisa. So this is a very protective lane, I suppose, that will be safe at least when it comes to the early game.
And it's a good pick, right? Corky and Gaio is locked in by Leonite Esports. Having Janna is a good disengage onto those diving champions. With Renekton and Wukong now locked in for Leonite Esports, that removes the Lee Sin Renekton duo that you were talking about, but rather giving it to Leonite Esports, having that greater 1v1 potential champion that can match it onto the Baron lane with Darius now locked in by FENNEL.
And that's gonna be their top. I like the I wouldn't call it the mini panic from FENNEL, but looking at Wukong and Galio, you do want to take out the Orianna that will synergize with the ball delivery system so well. But the second best thing is the Diana. You get the hero's entrance, you get the moonfall, you get the cycle, and all of these big circle AoEs. Once executed and layered well, I think Leonite has a very, very good chance to win the early game and could possibly snowball.
And it's also a good consideration of a Lee Sin pick from FENNEL Adversity. You have to know that Lee Sin at level 3 is a menace of a champion to deal with. So having Diana come into mid, have that type of power to really stay for a prolonged fight against a Lee Sin if ever he wants to go for the mid lane gank in the early game.
Yeah, I think it could spell disaster because there is the Orianna with an easy setup. Just put the ball on the Lee Sin, and Diana doesn't really have any options to get away. There's no disengage for the Diana. It's usually just all in. So I assume Diana could possibly opt for a flash barrier just to make sure and deny that kill lane.
And yes, he did. Flash barrier for the Diana. FENNEL Adversity versus Leonite Esports in this game number 1. We see a lot of rotation for now. And Leonite Esports Neo mid lane now. And really double on ABC.
Yeah! Did they just... That's super interesting. Look at them here.
3v2 right now. FENNEL Adversity went for the cut lane onto the Baron lane. And this gives the opportunity for Leonite Esports now response on top side of the map. But first blood for FENNEL Adversity because they really want to match it up. And Leonite Esports has to pay the price.
Yeah, that's really interesting. They stopped the wave first, and then to make sure that their wave crashes into the tower.
And Renekton is diving in. Yes, the Ignite was there, but level 1 Ignite is not that big. Now, Corky, really a lot of damage, having the first kill onto the Gatling gun. Really just defeats down the HP of Dameng, but they were happy with that first blood. 600 gold lead immediately with power, now having the potential to really go for the third plates.
Yeah, exactly. He is able to clear the wave with no fear whatsoever. We're seeing an interesting lane swap here, most likely just to make sure that Jash doesn't get ahead and bully out the Darius. But the thing is that particular matchup is actually pretty good for the Darius. So this could be one of those things where they wanted to get first blood. It's too late to rotate at bot side, so might as well put Danny and Rafe over top.
Yeah, and it's a good power to really match it up against Renekton because Renekton match up against a Janna and a Kaisa can really dive in and make it even in the Baron lane. So having the switch is actually quite even, but right now it's gonna be 3v3 into the riverbed. Leonite Esports tried to go for the contest, but FENNEL Adversity in the end will take the Rift Scutter.
That is a double Rift Scutter start. This is one of the best scenarios, I suppose, for the first 2 minutes of the game. At least, even though the first blood went over to FENNEL, they evened it out. Look at Jash here.
Danny, 1v1, pretty much a low HP ADC for FENNEL Adversity, which forces him out away to go for the recall instead. And really, the information game right now is absolutely phenomenal.
It is. There's a ton of vision for the side of actually FENNEL, mostly on towards the river, but because Leonites was able to secure those 2 Rift Scuttlers, they're a-okay for now. The little bit of worrisome, though, is that Jash had Ignite, all that was about to have Ignite, rather in that 1v1, and therefore Danny was able to escape off of that. And now this is the standard lane that we're looking at the moment. And I feel like it's just to perfectly time it with the dragon, or just to make sure that they're not in front of Jash. But the thing is, that is an Ocean Drake, though. So I feel like for FENNEL, they might want to prioritize this this Rift Herald to open the map up, especially top, so Jash will have a little bit of a hard time taking control of the lane.
Even for Leonite Esports as well, because the Rift Herald is much easier to take. So they could give away the Ocean Drake and go for the Rift Herald. And at that point, you can just pressure in, get the Tower for his blood, get a huge lead in terms of gold against your enemy team, and even have still that aspect of really taking the lead against Leonite Esports, or rather, if they take it, against FENNEL University. But now it's going to be a 2v1 into the bottom side of the map. It's Diana going for the Moonfall against Dream members, but that will not be enough. But the 1-for-1 will come through. Meng will fall down. That means no jungle for FENNEL University.
Yeah, 11 seconds. They will be late to this Rift Herald or Dragon take. But because FENNEL, or rather Leonites, have enough space, it is a race for First Blood Tower. And I do think that FENNEL may win this one. They
Tower
did.
coming on top lane. It's now going to be the ultimate from Galio going for the knockoff, but that is still going to be sustainability of Darius, not going to be enough to put him alive, and Leonite Esports will still survive, but the Tower for his blood is towards the side of FENNEL University.
Yeah, they're able to get that extra gold in their pockets. The lead is still not as significant. It is just that 300 gold deficit. And now FENNEL, though, is able to secure the Rift Herald. It is, it is going to be the Dragon and Rift Herald for Leonites. Again, we'll see where they decide to open up the map. I think, ideally, mid lane would be good. Bottom lane would be good just to even out the numbers because their bot is already gone. We'll see what the decision is because there are no objectives off of the map already.
Yeah, and I think FENNEL University really just gave it to Leonite Esports, considering that they already got the Tower for his blood into bottom side of the map, and they got that gold already. So having that permanent buff for the mid-game, late-game in terms of scaling for power, specifically onto the Ocean Drake, is really much more important to sustain a tankier power in the mid-game, late-game team fight. So I think this is where FENNEL University is looking towards, to permanent buff rather than the early aggression.
Yeah, they wanted to slowly build towards the late game, just as you mentioned, because they do have Danny here on the Kaisa, who can potentially be the late game monster. Shaw as well. Once the items build up AP, then the burst from the shockwaves would be an available option for FENNEL to fight in this game. Leonites, though, they're pretty strong early. Let's see what Ro decides to build as well, and the taunt will connect.
Yanzu going for the taunt, indeed, and that will just taunt away Meng. FENNEL University will have a delay push on top side of the map. And I love how you mentioned about Shaw, because if you're looking at the spells, it's a flash ghost Shaw in this game number 1. As now it's going to be 3v1. Moonfall connects onto 2. That's going to be the kill for FENNEL University, and the only one remaining is Yansu. And Leonite Esports has knowledge. You know what? You go top lane, we're going to go bot lane.
Now that you brought it up, Shaw's carrying Conquerors. Ghost? So you're aiming for the auto attacks? I wonder what the build is here. This is the duel.
Probably the scaling, but now it's going to be the 1v1 once again. The shockwave will delay how much damage will come through, and row 1 will fall down. Another kill for FENNEL University.
Oh, whoa! What a nicely done 1v1, and that's usually you see on the Corki, winning just because they have more distance. Usually, you will be able to anticipate the shockwave because that's definitely what an Orianna does. But Shaw played that well. They were basically in melee range to each other.
Doming, though, it's gonna be the 2v1. Taunt will connect, and that will be an easy kill for Leonite Esports with no response. FENNEL University will lose on that one as they have lost the jungle once again.
Leonites doing a pretty good job evening out the numbers. While Shaw won the 1v1, Leonites will pick someone off, and their primary target is Domeng. And if you constantly pick off Domeng, that means your jungler, your early game jungler who wants to gank the lanes, who wants to make things happen, basically forces FENNEL into this stalemate, I suppose. Now for Leonite Esports, they're very scary. Again, because of the hero's entrance. Whoever actually decides to start a fight, maybe Jash, maybe Andy69, maybe Sean, Yanzu will definitely follow.
Yeah, really, it's all about the trades. Leonite Esports, yes, FENNEL University got the kill onto the Corki, but they look for those kills that make it even. And right now, the gold is even as well. FENNEL Adversity is right now just hovering bot side of the map, considering that that is the Cloud Dragon, a huge potential for power to dive into those team fights later on.
We'll have to see if that is going to be available. Considering that Leonite doesn't have any form of disengage, so I feel like that is a possibility with the resets coming in. The fact that Leonite's roster or composition is a little bit on the squishier side of things, I guess, depending on what they build. Sterak's already for Jash. Got Sunfire Cape already available for Andy69. So, yeah, they are going to be a tad tanky.
Corki, special delivery, and that's gonna be the slow onto one. But we have Galio going for the magical ultimate, goes for the one-man knockup. Renekton comes in for the flank. A lot of damage coming through. The calling will not get a kill, but they will still indeed secure it. That's gonna be the 2-4-0 trade-off in favor of their FENNEL Adversity.
That is the beautiful thing. Why you have a Janna? You have that form of disengage. Look at Leonites, all in comp, and the Monsoon was definitely an answer, as well as the Howling Gale. And look at the low health HP bars on that engage. Leonites weren't able to finish off targets. Jash was the official, the sacrificial lamb, and now FENNEL are on their way to taking the Air Drake, and Leonites are nowhere near this objective.
And it's so difficult because Leonite Esports was fighting on a pitch. And that was just a choke point that they were not really able to capitalize. Yes, they have the Corki. Yes, they have Sean. But you're fighting against a Kai'Sa and Shaw in that small space wherein those AoE damage will really deal a lot. So Leonite Esports cannot really make it through. 2k gold lead for FENNEL Adversity. They've secured the Cloud Dragon already. A lot of mobility in this state of the game for FENNEL Adversity, wherein they could utilize this for roam into a different lane or even into objectives, especially with Baron Nashor now coming alive at 5 seconds.
Yeah, the Rift Scuttler, or rather the Vision, Leonites are gonna definitely try to keep an eye on that. But now, looking at the items, I feel like because Road didn't have enough items or power just yet, he needed that Triforce to be to add into the damage output. So I feel like there's so many low health targets just because they lack that specific damage. In the meantime, though, we get to see the debut of the Crystalline Reflector for Sean over here. So a little bit more of that survivability, considering that, again, there's not really... They don't have a enchanter support to keep Sean alive. So this is the answer to make sure that the Moonfall actually connects.
It's really a strong item, right? It's very cheap, and it gives you a lot in terms of that gold per benefit onto the item. So having that Diana onto the Crystalline is really gonna be a power to come through. Yes, that is loss of damage, but they really need some more tanks to battle it out against FENNEL's Adversity, as now it's gonna be Renekton having to lock onto a 2v1. But the support from Leonite Esports is coming down. It's Exhaust to remove the mobility of Darius as he will fall back away. That's gonna be the flash in. Another flash for Danu coming into that fight. A Taken Rain to deal off some more damage, but he will fall down. That's gonna be the 1-for-2 trade-off for now. Make it a 2-for-2. Leonite Esports is matching it up. It's now Wukong is trying to walk away. He's gonna come through. He's trying to make it back as he cannot go back away. But FENNEL Adversity will take the kill instead. A 1-kill advantage for FENNEL Adversity.
What a fight from FENNEL. Look at the scoreboard. 403 already for Shaw. And he is going to be insane. Leandri's for his second item pickup, and Danny was able to pick up 1 kill at least off of that fight. So the kills are going to the right targets. And Leonites will have to be a bit careful in the following fights because, again, one man missing from their squad, especially from the trio, especially from Wukong, Diana, and as well as Yanzu, they're definitely going to struggle. So they have to make sure that they can layer the CCs and then execute that to be able to get to capitalize on all those AoEs.
Yeah, definitely, because FENNEL Adversity can make it back if you have those split intentions of making your attack split onto Power, Domeng, and even Dani. And Leonite Esports can also do the same thing, wherein they really need to focus in on the target, utilize their CC chain potential to make it into a team fight against FENNEL Adversity because of how much lead that FENNEL Adversity currently has.
Yeah, they're currently at a 4K gold lead, 2 dragons in their pocket, so that is gonna slowly build towards the later stages of the game. Double Zanya is already intact for Dumbing, and as well as Danny. So once they do Killer Instinct, once maybe Dumbing dives into the backline, they have a lot of survivability options. And the fact that when Andy and Sean decide to tag team together and initiate Cyclone plus Moonfall, then it's gonna be null and void because the Zonia's Hourglass is there.
And really, it's a difficult situation if you have the stasis enchant to keep you alive for a bit longer, and that delay would really state how much the team fight will come through. As now FENNEL Varsity though is going for the Mountain Dragon. Leonite Esports is looking to go for the contest as we have Wukong coming into the Dragon Spit, but Shockwave will be there as that will be FENNEL Varsity taking the Mountain Dragon as Darius will be into the front side of the map. That will be a lot of sustainability keeping him alive, but that will be the 1-for-2 trade-off as now it's FENNEL Varsity getting numbers advantage. Corki will now fall down as Sean will try to go back away, and FENNEL Varsity is looking to go for the Baron Nashor.
And that is, yes, -3 members. Ro follows suit as well. It's only -1. And that's going to be a 4-man Baron. And this is going to be a comfortable Baron. Andy is not present. The jungler of Leonites is not present. And that was a very, very clean fight coming from FENNEL Adversity.
And having that Baron Nashor, now they could get the tier 2 turrets available against Leonite Esports and really just secure the gap against them as well. Right? Having the tier 2 turrets later on, if every day do secure it, means that the gold gap will be there. The dragon buff is already in favor of FENNEL Varsity, so they just need to secure that much further advantage against Leonite Esports. So in a 5v5, they really don't have a chance.
Yeah, they keep piling on these buffs, so this is a struggle for sure for Leonites to come back into this game. Look at that. Look at Shaw. 505. Already has a Rabadon's, already has a Prophet's Pendant, so that added magic pen will definitely help out if Leonites decide to be a little bit more on the defensive side of things. But looking at the itemization from Ro, we get to see our first ever Solari Charge Blade, so more on these critical hits for sure to proc.
But now Yanzu is going for the flank, a taunt onto Janna. No teammates will be there as well. Leonite Esports taking a lot of damage as now it's gonna be Wukong diving in for the Cyclone 2-man knockup. But Darius is there into the front side of the map. That's gonna be the calling onto Renekton. That's gonna be one kill. 1-for-1 for both FENNEL and Leonite Esports.
Yeah, both top laners are gone, but it's still a Baron-empowered minions diving. And look at the damage coming from Ro. It is still very scary, but at the same time, you lost one of your frontliners as well. So therefore, that's all pretty much Ro can do.
I mean, he has built onto the Infinity Edge and the Static Shift, so pretty much a lot of crit damage coming through on top of the BRK that he is setting up. But problem with this, I think, is the lack onto the AoE damage per se onto the basic attack, because Rune and Arcane will not be there, as now it's going to be the taunt connecting onto Danny though, but the stasis will now be forced away. He tries to go back away, he will not do so, but Lee Sin will jump in as the Sonic Wave. Corki will fall down, that's going to be the 2-for-1. He still wants to go for more as we have Rafi coming in. Sean will force out the stasis as well. We have Andy coming for the support as that's going to be the flash in with the Zephyr trying to bring him down, but the damage is not going to be enough. The United Esports will still have Sean in the later stages.
Gotta love when you see Janna players flash for the Zephyr and finish. Unfortunately though, Sean was in a comfortable spot where the Zephyr is not going to be enough, to the point that the barrier wasn't even called. And now though, this is looking to be a fully fledged FENNEL game. It is them just waiting for the Infernal Elder Drake to spawn, while Leonites has no choice but to try and defend their base, because look at the minion wave. It's pretty much shoved in FENNEL's favor, and there's 30 seconds in the clock to prep for this, and the 1-3-1 from FENNEL is just making things a tad more harder.
Yeah, and two objectives are gonna go up simultaneously. Infernal Elder Dragon in 13 seconds, to Baron Nashor in 17 seconds. So Leonite Esports, I think they could trade this off, but as you stated a while ago, with the lane control for FENNEL Adversity, this is going to be so difficult. But if they do capitalize on this one, if FENNEL went in for the Infernal Elder Dragon, at least get the Baron Nashor, that will be a great deal for Leonite Esports to delay this fight in their favor. As now it's going to be Power though, really going for an aggressive push. Sean will be hooked up, but no follow through, no damage from FENNEL Adversity. And Sean will still stay alive. FENNEL Adversity will really just pressure in.
It's about that defense, and do they have enough wave clear?
Yanzu went in for the taunt. That's going to be 2-man taunt for Leonite Esports. Shockwave comes through. Special delivery. Tap onto that team fight. Galio with the ultimate as well. Go for the knockup, but the calling will secure Power onto the kill. Monsoon will be there. A lot of damage will now come through as Leonite Esports will fall back into the base as Nexus will be open for FENNEL Adversity to finish this match. That's going to be the calling once again. A lot of sustainability for Power and really FENNEL Adversity opening up the base against Leonite Esports.
Yeah, that's two open spots in Leonite's base. Now it's FENNEL just taking things by the book. They are looking to end this as now Leonite is being zoned out by one single person, and it's Power.
Yeah, and the Power is really just gonna be so much more for FENNEL Adversity. Infernal Elder Dragon, 12% damage increase, and that's pretty much a deal breaker for Leonite Esports in this state of the game. Right? Even if you build onto armor, even if you build into a magic resistance, FENNEL Adversity is just gonna come through, especially with the penetration onto Lee Sin, onto Orianna, even building onto Void Staff.
Yeah. It's basically Leonite's pretty much cornered into this game. So now the biggest thing is, what can we do on the next, considering this is a BO3 series? Oh.
Power, that's gonna be the Void Seeker. We have the ultimate ready for Danny, so if ever Power rushes in, they could follow up with the support and could go for a response. But they're playing it very, very passively against Leonite Esports. Passive but active. Pressure in, but not too deep, so that Leonite Esports can get ahead of FENNEL Adversity. So that's really just a massive output for FENNEL Adversity at this point, getting the tier 2 turret as well into the bot side of the map.
This is exactly what the panel mentioned. Controlled aggression was the style of FENNEL back in the summer season, and we're looking at it right now.
Wukong though, that's gonna be 4-man Cyclone coming into the fight. Galio ultimate to follow through with a CC change, but Wukong was already dead. The flash will now be forced away. Renekton will come in for the flank as well, but we have Domeng going for the knockup with the kick. That's gonna be 500 HP for the Nexus base, and game number 1 will be in favor.